Introducing a new technology layering engine for broadcast, live venues, and presentations. Multi-lane keying and mixed effects with an extraordinary intuitive iPad interface. New from Ensemble Designs.
Hi, I'm Mike Grotticelli with Broadcast Engineering Magazine and Broadcast Engineering Online. Here today with Dennis Wharton. He's Executive Vice President of the NAB. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
A lot of great things happening at the show, and we'll get into that, but I first want to talk about some of the issues happening.
Sure.
Gordon Smith, head of the NAB, gave a great keynote speech on Sunday. And one of the things that was intriguing, he said to me that broadcasters can't let their guard down at this time. And what does that mean?
Well, that means the wireless broadband providers want our spectrum. I mean, they demonstrated that during the legislative battle that we just were engaged in. We think we did pretty well there. We got protections for broadcasters who want to stay in business. Right. For those who want to volunteer to go out of business, there's going to be an auction process, that there's incentives for them to go out of business. But that's going to take a long time. I mean, the FCC is going to have to implement a series of rules to help everybody understand how the process will work. We understand that there will be a bid put up by a broadcaster who wants to go out of business, and if the FCC can match that bid, the TV license will be taken back and that broadcaster will go out of business. So, but as Gordon has said, we don't hear the hooves of the stampede of broadcasters wanting to go out of business. There will be some, but
do you believe there will be some?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've got 1,780 broadcasters across the country. There's probably going to be some who say, yeah, I'll look at this, and if they match my offer, I'll go out of business. But the reality is, broadcasting is a great business right now. We cycled out of the worst advertising recession in probably 50 years. Right. Economy's bouncing back. Car advertising is back. Political advertising is going well right now. So we'll see. I think there are a lot of people skeptical about how many broadcasters are going to actually participate in the auction. Right.
And speaking of that, Gordon also said in his speech, the NAB is back. What does that mean?
Well, I think
never went anywhere.
We never went anywhere. We had a couple of down years where we lost a couple of big issues, but I think Gordon has sort of changed how we do business, and we've become, as he said, we've moved from the house of no to the house of engagement. Yes. If there's a proposal out there that the government wants to make, we'll talk with them, we'll work with them, we will engage, as opposed to just sit back and say no, 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 because long term that's probably not a great strategy for success.
Right, and this is the perception that the NAB is fighting the FCC. Is that the case? That's not the case.
Well, no, I mean, we really did
fighting,
engage.
I just mean
we really did engage with the FCC on the incentive auction process, and more importantly, we brought Congress into the discussion and worked with Congress to ensure that the legislation worked for both parties. So we've got nothing personal against the FCC. We have an obligation and a duty to represent free and local broadcasters and our network partners, and we're going to do that.
Great, great. At another session, it was on mobile TV, a woman named Peggy Johnson got up from Qualcomm and talked about the kind of the lessons learned from the failed media flow experiment
Right.
that they did. But toward the end of her speech, she got up and she said that broadcasters should sell their spectrum to her, and if they did, she'd be happy to carry their programming. Does that sound as dangerous to you as it does to me for a broadcaster? And why so?
It's dangerous. I don't know if dangerous is the right word, but it would be problematic because a local broadcaster doesn't own the rights to the entire day of programming. So it owns the rights to local news, it owns the rights to public affairs programming that it creates, but the broadcast network programs Prime Time, for example, sure, or the Today program, or Good Morning America. Those programs are owned by somebody else, so it's not that simple. I would say that the media flow issue, the reason their business model failed was they weren't providing live and local programming. They were providing a network program service, or a national service rather. Right. And the difference there, we think, is that people will want their live and local programming probably more than maybe just a national program feed. So that's the play where we see broadcasters offering something that's unique. We've got this franchise on localism that no one else has, and that's why I think we're going to be successful long term.
Great. But using the example you just gave about who owns the rights to content,
right.
Is that going to be an impediment to mobile DTV over the air as well?
Well, we had a great announcement this week at the show where CBS, which had been resistant to participating in the mobile DTV ventures that are out there, agreed to allow local TV stations to use the CBS programming as part of the mobile DTV launch. ABC now has also had a couple of stations that were part of that agreement where they allowed ABC network programming to be included in the mobile DTV service. So that's all 4 networks that, we already had NBC and Fox going for the gold.
They're big
now
pioneers.
we've got CBS willing to commit, at least for a certain period of time, and ABC's dipping their toe in the water. So long term, it's almost like believing in God. You just got to think it's going to happen, and we do think it's going to happen.
You think it's going to happen?
Yeah.
Great. Now a little bit about the show. There seems to be a bigger crowd, but you haven't released numbers yet.
We haven't released numbers. We're definitely where we were last year, and we're still gathering the last.
Do you believe that's the economy is getting better and the kind of industry is getting better as far as revenue and whatnot?
I think it's just this show has sort of a it's just got such a brand, and you know, it's people from all over the globe are here. 156 countries. 1 in 3 attendees is from outside the United States, and there's just a power to this NAB Show brand that is undeniable. We're going to do $30 billion in business on this floor this week. That's with a B. The Las Vegas economy gets $120 million because of the NAB Show, and that's not that's excluding gambling that's going on the tables. They took some of mine last night, so I know all about that. But the show is doing well this year. We've bounced back from a couple years ago. We bottomed out at about 82,000, and we're now.
Was that a low number?
Yeah.
Okay.
We topped out. I mean, I've been here for 15 years where I've seen the peaks at 113, 115 to 81, and now we're sort of mid-range between those two. So there's a good feel to the show for sure.
Excellent. And the theme of the show is the content shift.
The great content shift.
It's a great content shift. I'm wondering, what is the content shift in your mind, and our broadcasters ready for that shift?
We are. I mean, I think if you would ask me that 2, 3, 4 years ago, probably not. But I think there's some, we're accepting that change is all around us. And when we talk about the great content shift, it's not just broadcasters, but obviously since we represent broadcasters, we're more interested in that than any other business. But the content shift is you know, this isn't your father's broadcast business. You don't go home and sit in front of a TV unless you're of a certain age. But you want to have programming on smartphones. You want to have programming on laptops, on in the back seats of cars. So everybody wants to be with the mobile society where people want their programming on demand and on the go, and we want to have our programming shifted to these devices.
And are you helping stations kind of figure that out, or just
yeah, I mean, obviously
strategy-wise?
NAB provided seed money for the Open Mobile Video Coalition, which is the sort of the umbrella group representing mobile DTV. Yep. So yeah, NAB, we've started this NAB Labs project where we're providing $3 million a year to sort of you know, offer advice and do studies and encourage broadcasters to be innovative and future thinking, and so it's not just TV but also radio as well.
Great. So in general, would you say the future is bright for broadcast?
Oh yeah, we think the future is very bright for broadcasting because again, we've got the franchise that everybody wants, and that's local content. Nobody else has local content like broadcasters. Yeah, there are a couple of cable systems that have local news outlets, but by and large, you don't get that kind of information from anybody, the local programming content from anybody but broadcasters.
Great. Thank you, Dennis.
All right, Mike. Always a pleasure.